Moral values in the world of the Iliad. The idea of morals is subjective, as they can be influenced by so many things. A contemporary audience would have had different moral values than a modern one. Moral values are defined as standards of good and evil which govern an individual's behaviour and choices. An individual's morals may derive from society and government, religion or self. If we look at the society of the Iliad, it is closely linked with that of religion. The gods seem to act as enforcers of morality, who encourage the right and either stop or punish the wrong. The moral obligations of the characters can be seen through the influences of war. The warriors feel obligated to claim their glory, or kleos, through fighting for fear of shame if they refuse to do so. There is a moral obligation to stand by your comrades. There is also an obligation to sacrifice and appease the gods. Hector goes to the women of Troy to ask them to pray and sacrifice to Athene in her temple. This is the woman's obligation during war, as they must help the men through their religion. An example of conflicting morals can be seen between Menelaus and Agamemnon in Book 6 of the Iliad. Menelaus takes the Trojan Adrastos alive and is prepared to offer him mercy, but Agamemnon prevents this from happening by killing him on the grounds that the Trojans have shown no regard for Menelaus in stealing Helen, and so he shouldn't show any regard for them. The two brothers who have grown up in the same society following the same religion have different moral values in this instance, suggesting a grey area in the morality of this society. If we look at the gods as enforcers of morality, the fact that Agamemnon is not immediately punished for doing this, like people would be for breaching Xenia in the Odyssey, suggests that he did the right thing. The idea of Xenia's guest friendship is shown in the Iliad, though, as the warriors Glaucus and Diomedes find that their families are connected through Xenia. This made them morally obligated to not fight each other in battle, and they swap armour to show their piety to Zeus. They are morally obligated to respect this code to keep order. The character of Paris can be seen as morally corrupt within the Iliad. As a warrior and the person to cause the war, he would be obligated to fight alongside his men. Instead, he would rather look at his armour in the mirror while Helen does the morally right thing by trying to convince him to join the war. The fact that he stole Helen from Menelaus also shows how he is immoral, as a wife is the property of her husband. The Trojan War and Troy's eventual downfall can be seen as punishment because of this. Paris, however, was claiming what Aphrodite had promised him, suggesting how he is not as morally incorrect as he seems. This makes us question Aphrodite's morality, though, as she would probably have been aware that Helen was married when she offered her to Paris. But do the gods have to follow a set of morals, or are they above them? There is a sense throughout the poem of the divine law set by the gods being the moral thing to do. Whether it is to partake in sacrifices, Xenia, or listen to an omen, the characters listen and follow the laws. There also appears to be a separation in morals between the men during wartime and at home. In war, they are expected to be courageous and work towards gaining kleos, whilst in a more domestic setting, they are to be good fathers and husbands, making sure that their families do what they should. As said in What Value does Homer attribute to society in the Iliad, it is said that morality in the Iliad is what you should follow due to divine law and what your people consider to be right. You must act as you would be expected to. It can be suggested that your moral values and how you act on them in the Iliad are watched by those around you. This again can link to the all-important concept of kleos. If others perceive you as the great moral hero, you will gain immortality through another's words. The character of Achilles acts outside of his society's moral system for most of the poem. He does not fight for a long time, harms and withholds Hector's body, and weeps so strongly for Patroclus' death that his grief is more similar to that of a woman's. His morality is reconciled, however, in Book 24 of the Iliad, where he is pious and empathetic in giving Priam Hector's body and holding back the Achaean troops for the 11-day burial. The emphasis on burial being a strong moral obligation in the Iliad shows the importance of this gesture, as well as his piety showing him following the divine law of the gods. Homer's interjection, or comment within the poem, can be a way of seeing some of Homer's morality as well. In Book 18, Hector refuses to do what Polydamas advised, which later turns out to have been the wiser option. Homer calls the men fools, suggesting how the right thing to do was to retreat to the city, as Polydamas had said. The fact that Hector did not listen to his comrade can also be seen as morally wrong, as good leaders should listen to others and decide on the best from there. The way that Hector's plan backfires is foreboded by Homer and suggests Hector's lapse in judgment. There are complications in the moral values that women must uphold within the Iliad. Hecate is sacrilegious when asking Priam not to trust what goddess Iris had told him to do, and makes him ask for Zeus's omen as well. This suggests that a woman's loyalty must first be to her husband and then the gods. Andromache acts similarly towards Hector, asking him not to go back and fight the Achaeans for fear of his death. It may be morally expected for women to value their husbands and wish for their well-being. Moral values in the Iliad are hinged on the ideas of divine law, family relationships, and what is expected of you by others. Not all characters follow the same moral values due to the complicated situations and the sense of self-ethics, but there is a general accepted amount of morals.